This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we are heading to Grande-Motte on France's Mediterranean coast, home of this week's future yacht, the highly anticipated Outremer 48. Today we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking, what would Sylvia say? 3. Naval gaze at a technology or innovation that just might make life aboard a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old pre-owned comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes, so let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across the Atlantic and south down to South Africa and the yards of last week's future yacht, the beautiful Balance 464. From here, we head south, up to the sunny Mediterranean shores of France, home of this week's future yacht, the stunning Outremer 48. Finally, we hop up the coast to Mas Bruguière, and this week's wine pairing, Mas Bruguière La Grenadière 2020. Nestled in the shadow of the limestone peaks of Pic Saint-Loup and the Hortus, Mas Bruguière is a true family saga in Languedoc winemaking. The Bruguière lineage stretches back to 1259, when Pierre Bruguière first declared his assets in the valley. After the Revolution, Antoine Bruguière formally established Mas Bruguière, only to replant devastated vineyards after the Philo-Syrah crisis of the 1870s. Through frost, wars, and economic change, 7 generations have tended these slopes, today led by Xavier and his wife Marjorie, guardians of the centuries-old terroir Mas Bruguière. The vineyards of La Grenadière occupy 2 distinct islands across 12 hectares. On the Rocher de la Bergière, deep scree soils on south-facing slopes nurture Old Grenache and Mourvèdre wines. Just below, the plains clay-marl slopes support Syrah vines planted in the early 1980s. This dual terroir yields wines of remarkable tension, ripe yet structured, with Mediterranean minerality. La Grenadière 2020 is crafted from 90% Syrah and 10% Grenache, hand-harvested at optimal ripeness. Fermentation takes place in concrete vats chosen for their thermal stability. Before the wine spends 18 months in large oak foudres, allowing gentle micro-oxygenation that preserves fruit purity. In the glass, it shimmers a deep garnet with vibrant purple edges. On the nose, briny olives, tepignade meets luscious blackberries and a hint of licorice. The palate unfolds with silky, finely extracted tannins, dark fruit density, and a touch of provincial herb, thyme and rosemary, leading to a long, savory finish that promises graceful aging. Having our first look at this wonderful third in the line of Outremer's beautiful catamarans, she is a handsome, handsome vessel, looking very similar to the others, other than sheer length. The helm also, as you can see, is on the opposite side to the 52. But all of those lovely features that we've come to enjoy in this revamped lineup are all here. That fantastic mid-bulkhead helm, the integrated solar, the nice wide side decks, those really long bows, and of course our lovely dagger boards to really help that upwind sailing. She's an absolutely gorgeous vessel. Let's look as we fly over all three, and there she is. Nothing to complain about there in the smaller size. Okay, what are we going to compare her to here? Well, we've got the 1600 Passage Maker from Seawind, something new and tasty, the Panther 48 from McConaughey, and we're going to see a little bit more on that later, the Outremer 48 and the Seacat 48. And as we look at these and zoom in a little bit on the Outremer and the Panther, I think these are our two most attractive of the vessels, and certainly really handsome profiles. That new design by Outremer is really a pretty sight. Okay, hopping down onto the cabin top, you can see starting with the Seacat, you've got the solar out over the davits. You've got good sugar scoops there with drop-down seating at the helms. These are not Versa helms, so you are there. Good wide side decks heading up to the front, a clean rooftop, but you've got integrated solar there. Not a lot of it, but you probably, my guess is looking at that, it's about 400 watts all told, maybe 500. Up forward, long hull points there on both sides in a very nice trampoline area. What's shown here is a designed in factory pad that would go on the trampolines, creating a vast area for relaxation. The Panther 48, there's some nifty things to this that I'm not going to get into on this video, but we'll get into it later. But you can see very attractive cockpit area here. You've got that L-shaped settee on the starboard side. You have a very lovely aft forward-facing settee on the back wall, and then a nice settee on the port side. Helms are situated, twin helms either side. This is very much a performance boat. Although it's interesting when you look forward here, it looks like the hulls are much wider than they are, but trust me, this is a high performance vessel. Again, beautiful trampolines out front stretched right to the front of the longeron, creating a very aggressive shape and look. The Passage Maker from Seawind, you've got, again, integrated solar on the roof there. Not a lot of it, but enough. Wide, handsome sugar scoops for easy on-off access. As you can see, they're probably the widest of the group. They have a little exposed step at the very aft on the outside of the hull so that you can easily step onto them from the dock side. And then, moving up again, this is a performance cruiser, so not as radical hull bow lengths as you can see, and not as massive a trampoline area, but still significant with a very long longeron out the front. Okay, let's zoom in on the Outremer here. Again, you can see a lot of integrated solar here, even with the cutout for that bulkhead mounted helm on the port side. It is, again, the Versa helm, so it slides down in, and of course, they have ways of transferring your line controls down there as well. You've got a good clear forward coach rooftop, and then, of course, the typical side decks heading up front. Very long bows, very big trampolines. You do have an area for some factory-made cushions just right in front of the saloon windows, as you can see right there. But overall, just a great look, a great reinterpretation of the 52 and 55. Heading into the accommodations now, we'll start with the Seacat. Again, you can see a very nice cockpit. You move into the saloon, and you've got an L-shaped settee forward port side, a very nice U-shaped galley aft starboard side, with additional refrigeration aft port side, and then forward starboard side you have a forward facing nav station. Nothing wildly dramatic, although on earlier models they actually had a steering wheel here. They've gotten rid of that since. The Panther 48, very neat. Again, you've got the an L-shaped kitchen. It is not a U-shaped, which is interesting given the performance nature of this cat, but it does provide quite extensive, as you can see there, the extensive counter space fore aft. And then forward, you've got a nice, very modern take on a forward-facing helm, the L-shaped settee, and straight access into the hulls on the port aft and starboard forward. The passage maker, it's an interesting design. It harkens back. It feels older than the other designs, and yet there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's executed very nicely. You have a massive aft cockpit, although a very modest eating table. You can see it forward on the starboard side in the cockpit there. And then you have another settee off to the port side. Now, the helms are really nicely done on the Passage Maker and the Seawind 1600 in general. They have a nice broad seat, a double seat, which would allow you to tuck yourself in under the coach roof top, which extends quite far back. Or if you want to see the sails, you can slide yourself out to the outsides of that seat and see past the edge of the hardtop without the use of a Versa helm. And it's a very handsome helm setup, really nice. What's interesting here is the design now harkens back to some of the older Katana designs where you actually step down into the saloon. And I'm not sure if they actually have storage like the Katanas did under the cockpit floor, but regardless, you step down into the saloon. And it's a very handsome saloon. I mean, the woodwork is attractive. It's warm and yet light colored and open. As you can see, the galley is exceptional for rough water meal prep. You've got not just a U, but you've literally got a G-shaped galley here. So lots of counter space, lots of security and stability. You have a very nice settee forward port. That's not just an L shape. Again, it's a U shape, giving you that lovely seat right midships where you can set your back against the forward window and your legs out and stare out the aft windows and door. And then you've got a very, very nice nav station there. Really very attractive. Okay, let's zoom into the Outremer. And again, they have just done an exceptional job here. The thing about Outremer, if you look at this, I don't know how to put it, but almost everyone, other than the Panther, you've got hard corners. You don't have the level of production design, finished design, savoir-faire, whatever you want to call it. Outremer, their interior designers do a beautiful job of curves and fit and look and feel. It's just different than anybody else, save for maybe HH. If you come, as you can see now, they do have a nice semi-secured cockpit area here. So you access it up the starboard sugar scoop. And of course, again, at the aft of that sugar scoop, you can see how generous they are in width, and the hull side ends before the end of the sugar scoop, so you can easily make your way onto the sugar scoop from your mooring. And then up the stairs and in an aisleway into the cockpit, which is only one-sided, so you can easily block it off for children and pets, which makes a nice, secure cockpit without it feeling tight. The 45 and honestly the 50 just felt secluded to me, but this doesn't. They've accomplished something remarkable here. The shape of the seating, very modern, very. It's not just straight lines. It has a look and a feel and a style to it, and then you have that sort of L-shaped settee in the aft with the fold-out table, and then you've got that lovely settee over to the starboard forward, just aft of the galley, and then you have that wonderful trademark fold-down table extension of the galley into the cockpit, where you can put a little stool there, and it's like a little breakfast bar. Absolutely outstanding. And then, of course, you have a nice how do you call it? I guess a day bed in the cockpit on the starboard side, which I think is a lovely use of space. And of course, you on the port side is where your helm is versus the 52, which is on the starboard side. So on the port side, you'd hop up those stairs to your helm, and again, it's a Versa helm. You've got a very nice seat there, which we're used to seeing, and you have that lovely I'd call it an elbow rest with your controls on it. You can just see it there to the port of the winch housing. Very, very nice. And then moving into the saloon itself, again, the galley, very interestingly shaped. It's just not ordinary. It's just not straight lines. It looks like a designer dealt with this. So every angle, it's really attractive. You've got limited counter space, but enough. And then you have an extension of it over to the port side aft, where you'll have some refrigeration, etc. You've also got a wee bit of an extension of it forward and starboard of the nav station. Very nice nav station. Again, you'll see when we get in there, those typical swooping lines and continuation of lines that just looked so they just look so good is the only way I can describe it. The settee, very attractive. The folding table, again, Outremer has given you the best of both worlds. You can fold that up and move it away out from the forward settee section there, and then drop it down into a straight coffee table. So the feeling of space in your saloon in a 48, 50-foot cat just is enlarged significantly. It really is a wonderful way of doing things, instead of, stuffing a giant kitchen table in the middle of your saloon when your 95% of your eating is going to happen outside on the cockpit table. Okay, let's move then to the accommodations in the hulls, starting with the Sea Cat. You've got the owner's hull on the starboard side. It's a very conventional layout. You've got a butt scoot bed, which you'd, I guess, anticipate with hulls that narrow. I mean, you can see how needlepoint narrow these hulls are. And then forward, you've got your head and shower area. Across the other side, your passenger or your VIP is an athwartship with literally a single side access to it. And then you've got your typical forward tiny cabin, sort of a single or a larger twin in the forepeak there. Moving to the Panther. Again, very traditional performance cruiser layout. You've got the fore-aft owners on the starboard side there. I mean, they've made some accommodation for a little bit reach up the sides with some cut corners, but you're still going to be crawling around that bed, which would drive me nuts, but wait till you see this thing. You've got a very nice makeup table there, and then moving up a very large head shower area, given the size of this vessel and the nature, its performance nature. And then your passenger side, again, very traditional. You got a mid-shared head, and then fore-aft VIP in the aft, and a fairly decent-sized, actually, double up in the forepeak. The passage maker, again, they added, I think it was 4 inches to the width of each hull from the original 1600 design on this. So they've gotten themselves a little bit more width in the owner's hull on the starboard side. Again, cutouts to give you a little bit of access up the side. It's better than the others, but it's still limited. Very pleasant interior, as we'll see. And then, a handsome, good-sized head shower area up front. On the port side, you've got, the typical layout. You've got a VIP fore aft in the aft, and then probably a large twin in the forepeak there. Okay, let's zip into the Outremer 48. No surprises here. It is the butt scoot bed on the owner's hull on the starboard side. There's not even a hint of accommodation for reaching up. You're going to be crawling all over that bed. And then you've got a large, generous head shower area up front. And again, port side, much of the same. Mid head, shared head, VIP fore aft in the aft, and a large twin in the front. However, what is different here is what you can do with that almost pointless large twin in that front area in the forepeak. Here it is. You've got their flex space, or their my space, I think is what Outremer calls it. And you can see in this image, you've got a desk there, and then you've got fold-down bunks that you can have in several configurations, either a twin, or the twin-sized, or twin with the drop-down bunk atop. So you could actually put 3 kids in this area. You can fold it all the way and have a very nice workstation there. Or you can, as I would, give it all to Sylvia and make it her beautiful, walk-in closet here and utility room area. And that's exactly what I would do. So I just absolutely love this My Free Space concept that we're seeing in so many of them. But Outremer has really done a very, very nice job. Okay, coming out from there and heading over to the numbers. Let's head across the top line. At the most economical, you've got the Seawind 1600 passage maker with a base of €950,000. Next is the Comar Seacat 48 at €970,000. Next is the Outremer 48 at €1.3 million. And finally, the Panther 48 from McConaughey at €1.7 million. Heading down to length overall, the longest one here again is the Seawind at 52.7 feet. Next up is going to be the McConaughey Panther 48 at 51.5. Next is the Comar Seacat 48 at 49.1. And finally, the Outremer 48 at 48 exactly. On the beam, they're much of the same, just tiny differences. So the Outremer is the beamiest at 26.9 feet. Then it's the Seawind at 26.5 feet. The McConaughey at 26.4 feet. And then the Comar, the only one that's of any significant difference, at 24.8 feet. Bridge deck clearance on these, the best one is the McConaughey at 3.25 feet. That's followed by the Comar Seacat at 3 feet exactly. And then it's the Outremer at 2.8 feet. And finally, the Seawind at 2.3 feet. Looking at lightship displacement, this one usually always surprises me on the side of the Outremer. But as one might anticipate, that McConaughey Panther 48 leads the pack at 8.5 tons of lightship. Then another little surprise here, the Comar Seacat is next at 9.7, and then it's the Outremer, which usually leads the pack at 10.5, and then it's the Seawind at 14.4. Payload capacity was available on 3 out of the 4. Your best payload capacity is the Outremer at 4 tons. Next is going to be the Seawind at 3 tons. And finally, it's the Comar Seacat just shy at 2.8 tons. Upwind sail area on these, you've got the Seawind well out in front at 1,554 square feet. The next one is the Comar Seacat at 1,431 square feet. Then it's the McConaughey Panther 48 at 1,356, and finally the Outremer at 1,259. Looking at engines, you've got this is an interesting mix here. You've got, most of them are diesel, with the exception of the Panther. So it's the Seawind with twin 57s that has the most power. Then it's the Outremer with twin 50s. Then it's the Comar Seacat at twin 36 horsepower. And then the McConaughey Panther 48 is a hybrid with twin 15 kilowatt electric propulsion motors. As far as tank capacities go here, it's the Seawind out front with 750 liters of fuel and 658 liters of water. Next up is going to be the Outremer at 550 and 430. Then it's the Seacat at 540 and 300, and the Panther then at 400 each. On the Blackwater side, the Outremer leads. We have data on 3 out of the 4. The Outremer leads at 150 liters, followed by the Seawind at 120, and the Comar Seacat at 45 liters. Moving on into the interior space and storage capacity, again, talk to your brokers and your manufacturer's reps and get them to start including this stuff. There was no interior or exterior square footage available on any of the models, and there was no interior enclosed storage or exterior storage locker cubic footage available for any of them. Right now, really, it's balanced. There's the only manufacturer that does this for you. On the fridge capacity, I could find 2 of the 4, and in this case, the Seawind leads with 235 liters of fridge and 110 liters of freezer. And the Outremer 48 has standard 130 liters of fridge and 65 liters of freezer. Getting into the hull materials here. So this is very interesting. I would say, from the numbers, it would be the McConaughey Panther 48 that has the most robust hull because it is a fully carbon fiber, a vacuum-infused epoxy over foam sandwich construction. Now, the Comar Seacat is really very close. It's epoxy vinyl ester resin, multi-axle and unidirectional glass on a foam core. And the main and stern bulkheads are carbon. So McConaughey, all carbon, all epoxy. Comar, all epoxy, predominantly glass with some carbon. Then I would say it's going to be your Seawind, which is e-glass with carbon fiber reinforcements, vacuum bagged over foam with a pure vinyl ester. And it also has the interesting note of Kevlar reinforcements. And then finally, Outremer's tried and true is fiberglass with an infused vinyl ester outer layer, a foam core, and a polyester inner layer. In this case, though, the new models have extensive carbon fiber reinforcements. Looking across at battery bank size, I was able to find it on 3 of the 4. Couldn't find it for the Outremer 48 yet. So on the Seawind, you've got, on the McConaughey, because it is an electric boat, you've got 62 kilowatt hours of lithium. Then it's the Seawind at 9.6 kilowatt hours of AGM, with the potential to go up to 17.3 kilowatt hours of lithium. On the Comar, you've got 5.8 kilowatts of AGM. Then maximum factory solar, it would be the McConaughey, and this will be the interesting part when we get to it, how they get this. They have 19 kilowatts of solar on the McConaughey. The next one is the Outremer with 1 kilowatt or 1,000 watts, and then the Seawind at 400 watts. It was pretty close on that guesstimate when I looked at it. Solar panels, styles, Seawind is glass. McConaughey, I'm not going to tell you. It's a fascinating layup. We'll get to it then. Outremer is fiberglass and glass, or flexible and glass. And Comar, I believe, is flexible. Okay, the rubber hits the road here. So sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power, highest number wins. It is the McConaughey Panther 48 by Hare at 30.7, followed by the Comar at Seacat at 29.6. Both the Seawind 1600 and the Outremer 48 are tied at 24.8. Then displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness. Again, here, lowest number wins. That again is the McConaughey at 75.5. It is followed again by the Comar at 80.2. Then it is the Outremer at 93.4. And finally the Seawind at 96.7. So that all boils down to the KSP, or the theoretical indicator of speed at under 10 knots of wind. Here it is the McConaughey by quite a margin. Well, it's a decent margin. You're looking at almost a wind speed boat here at 93%. Then it's the Comar Seacat at a very handsome 91%. Then we drop down to the Outremer 48 at 81% and the Seawind at a respectable, given the size and all, at 80%. If you're enjoying the content, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Having said that, I am never going to pay for a catamaran that will convince Sylvia to circumnavigate the globe with YouTube revenue. To that end, I hope you don't think ill of me if I seek the help of this rather technical audience to generate referrals for my company, REDUx Engineering. REDUx helps $20 to $250 million tech and hard goods manufacturers in North America and Europe to reduce the cost of their parts and subassemblies by 20 to 50%, dramatically improving the health and strength of these small to medium-sized businesses. Our proprietary cost-down process combines design for manufacturing engineering inputs upfront with offshore sourcing and on-site quality control across a pre-vetted network of top-quality manufacturing partners in low-cost countries globally. We make it safe and simple for small to medium-sized manufacturers to access the savings that larger enterprise takes for granted. What's more, our model is contingency-based with no upfront costs or risk. If you would like more information, please check out our website. If you have people in your network who own or run this kind of manufacturer and would be able to introduce me, please reach out at dorton@REDUxEngineering.com. Along with my gratitude, we have an attractive referral program that just may help your sailing budget in a very practical way. Hopping on board, what would Sylvia say? Well, you know what? She would certainly like this vessel. Outremer does a fabulous job of design and aesthetic. It's a little minimalist probably for her taste, but she does like the modern more than I do. Look at this cockpit, how beautiful it is. Look at that table, the way it moves away from the aft settee and can drop down. Look at that beautiful settee over there, that relaxing area just on the starboard side forward, and then that beautiful drop-down table for the breakfast nook there. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. Just having a quick glance at the furnishings and the way they do things, always so nicely done with the angles and shapes. As we look a little closer here now into the saloon, you can see again that beautiful cocktail table that either folds all the way out into a big eating area or drops down and pushes out so that you have a real standard cocktail table and a feeling of space. And again, look at how every shape looks so developed and designed. It's not just hard angles tacked together. This is flowing lines from the settee back on the starboard side of the forward section that blends into the beautiful forward-facing nav station. The way all of the angles of the galley area to the starboard there, they're not just straight lines, beautifully machined in, routed in fiddles on the countertops. Everything looks so professional. The ceiling is done beautifully. That forward window area is absolutely spectacular. So looking across here, again, all of the details in this, and you can see off to the port side there some of the extra counter space and the refrigeration that you've got here. So again, looking then over to the actual helm here, again on the port side, you've got that lovely elbow rest. And you've got the slide away section that can shield you from the weather when it's ucky out, and you just drop down that Versa helm into the cockpit and captain the whole thing from there. Really, obviously nicely done. The easy access to the winches, and actually enough space that you could have a second person helping you with the winches. You can just see at the foot of the bulkhead the line stowage down there. So again, all of the aspects of this, from the elbow rest to the way everything nicely comes back to the helm, to those wonderful dagger boards, it's just so quintessentially Outremer. And the view from here, absolutely fantastic. You can, just see how unobstructed your view is and how nice. All you got to do is bend down. You could see out aft there. What a fabulous place when that helm is all the way out to the hull side. I mean, every element of this, that lovely seating area behind you there, it's just executed so elegantly. We're going to head over and head up the side decks here on the starboard side, past those lovely dagger boards, having a glance across that integrated flex solar on the cabin top there. You can see again all your flush mounted hatches, those long trampolines, just beautiful aft raked bows, very narrow entry line, long longeron, looks so sexy. I mean, this really is a vessel. Can you just imagine yourself sitting there and looking forward? Well, let's head into the actual saloon now. And again, your amount of light here and the way they've integrated these beautiful large opening forward windows, I think it's absolutely spectacular. And that allows for tremendous airflow, as you can see here. Now, speaking of airflow, let's look at some naval gazing. Today, we are looking at smart marine HVAC systems with variable speed control. Maintaining a comfortable interior climate on a liveaboard can be a constant battle against humidity and temperature extremes, not to mention odors and smells. The latest smart marine HVAC systems with variable speed control are offering unprecedented. Manufacturers like Webasto and Dometic are at the forefront, developing units that go beyond simple on-off functionality. These advanced systems utilize variable speed compressors and intelligent control logic to precisely match cooling or heating output to demand. This results in significantly lower energy consumption, quieter operation, and more constant interior temperatures. Many also integrate with smart boat systems, allowing for remote monitoring and control via a smartphone or tablet. Not to mention that these units now can run off of your entire battery bank so that you don't need to run your genset overnight. And with the size of the battery banks with lithium ion we've got now, you can easily run these a couple of nights without running that genset. For liveaboards, this translates to reduced power draw on the battery bank, a quieter night at anchor, and more comfortable living. The ability to fine-tune your onboard climate silently and efficiently is a luxury that becomes a necessity for long-term cruising. In combination with these technologies, and given our larger lithium battery banks today, there is no longer any excuse for that dank and musty boat smell that permeates sailboats regardless of size or expense. It's crazy. You have a plastic bottle filled with soft goods and breathing people bobbing around on top of the water, usually in hugely humid tropical climates. You need advanced dehumidification solutions. Moisture management remains one of the most persistent challenges for liveaboard sailors, making advanced dehumidification technology essential equipment. Modern desiccant dehumidifiers have proven superior to traditional compressor models for marine applications, particularly in cooler temperatures where liveaboard sailors often find themselves. These systems not only remove moisture, but also warm and clean the air, creating a dramatically improved interior environment. The Dryboat 12 exemplifies this technology advancement, delivering exceptional results in challenging environments. For liveaboard sailors, effective dehumidification prevents mold growth, protects electronics and equipment, maintains clothing and bedding in good condition, and creates a healthier living environment during extended periods aboard. Back on board, looking across that beautiful saloon from the forward port side, we're going to head over to the owner's hull on the starboard side here, and down the companionway, there's that lovely daggerboard case. We'll hang a right and head back to the owner's cabin. You can see, the kind of finishes that Outremer uses here. Very nice. It's quite sparse when you get downstairs into the hulls. You are impressed in the main saloon because of the shapes and curves and whatnot. When you get down into the hulls, it becomes quite sparse or minimalist. Now here you can see that they've changed that aft window above the headboard, made it much larger, letting in a lot more light. You've got a lovely ceiling hatch there for good ventilation and a very nice height of hull port. This is the one concern I have with the HH owner's berth. It's lower than this, and that hull port is much higher. And so it doesn't feel connected with the bed so much. It feels like you're down in something. There's something about the way Outremer executes their butt scoot bed fore aft owner's berths. I don't like the design because it's difficult to make, but I have to say every time I walk into that area, it feels light and airy beyond what it should. They really do a great job. Okay, backing out and spinning around, we'll have a quick look down the hall at the owner's head. Nothing to write home about here. It's an effective head. There's not huge storage, but there's sufficient. You got a nice size shower there. You're fine. Okay, back up into that lovely saloon, and you can see what I mean by, the curves in the saloon add a level of sophistication that you just don't have in the hull. So they get away with here very nicely. And we're going to back out again, looking across the cockpit from the port aft here. Just beautiful. This is an absolutely gorgeous interpretation of their new design theme. I think they've really knocked it out of the park here. It's just a beautiful vessel in every single way. Okay, what do we compare this to in pre-owned comparables? As you know, for the comparable pricing, we take the base plus 50% to come up with a sail-away comparable to the pre-owns, which of course are all loaded. And, I get the odd comment about that, but I'm telling you, on 150 boats that I have manually priced out, maybe it's because I am a greedy son of a gun and like every toy known to man, but almost every time it's within 5% of base plus 50%. There's the odd exception, like a Naisna, which come way loaded up with factory standard, but generally it's base plus 50%. So that's what we're going with. Okay, first up, we've got the Katana. OC50, a beautiful vessel with a lot of innovative features. We're looking at a 22 here, which is a 3-year-old boat. They're asking for $1 million versus our 2.1 million for the brand new Outremer. Ooh, I'd have to go with the Katana. It's an all vinyl ester hull. Yeah, it's not as aesthetically beautiful, but they have a really neat take on their interior. They have used that enclosed aft and open up aft cockpit idea almost from the bally, and it creates a tremendous liveaboard space inside as well. Their owner's berth is at least a 2-side access. Next up, we have a Balance 442. It's a 3-year-old boat. They're asking 1.2 million versus 2.1 for the Outremer. Oh, I mean, I like Balance. Now, this is not pure vinyl ester. It's exactly the same hull construction as the Outremer. So, 6 to 1 half does the others. I'd have to save the 900 grand and go with the Balance on this one. Next up, we've got a 21 Naughty-Tech 46 Open, a 4-year-old boat. They're asking $700,000. So a third of the price of the new Outremer. Wow. Well, for my project, the Naughty-Tech is a well-built boat. They got nice finishes, a reasonable performer. I'm not going to keep up to the 48, but I'm not in a race anyways. I'd go the Naughty-Tech. Next up is a 22 Outremer 45, the predecessor to the 48. 3-year-old boat. They're asking just under $1 million, like 950. Wow. I'd have to put the 1.15 in the bank and do a lot of eating and partying. I'm afraid I'd have to go with the 45. And finally, we've got a 2019 Fountain Peugeot 47. So we're looking at a 6-year-old boat. They're asking 874, so 900,000 versus the 2.1. I think that's a little dear for the Fountain Peugeot, given some of the other boats that we've seen here. But I'd still have to go with it and pocket the $1.3 million. Okay, monohull heresy. What did we compare this to on the monohull side? Just a reminder, for a comparable monohull, we add 20% to the length of the catamaran we're looking at to allow for comparable liveaboard space. First up is a 2022 Jeannot 65 with the hardtop. Beautiful boat. We're looking at 3-year-old, and they're asking $1.4 million. I mean, this has bow, stern thruster. It has, well, everything you could imagine, and mountains of space, and a full beam aft master that's utterly gorgeous for 700 grand less. I'd have to go with the Jeannot 65. I'm not liking the way this is going. Next up, we got a 19 Beneteau Oceanus Yacht 62. So we're looking at a 6-year-old boat. They're asking $1 million. Hard top, the whole bit. The interior of this boat is exquisite. I don't like the layout, but there is no arguing with the finishes. This feels like a yacht's yacht. A little dear for it compared to that 65 at $1 million. But again, I'm afraid I'd have to take the $1.1 million in my pocket and run and take this one. Next up, we're looking at a 23 Jeannot Yacht 60. I really like this boat. They're asking $1.1 million versus the Outremer 48. Short of the fact that I can't join the Grand Large 3-year round-the-world rally with this, I'd have to go with the Jeannot. And finally, we're looking at a 23 Beneteau Oceanus Yacht 60. That's a 2-year-old boat, and they're asking 1.2 versus 2.1. Again, I'd have to pocket the money and run. Finally, one of my favorite monohulls, and I do not understand why Grand Large has not bought this moniker and continued it, but it's a 2018 Gunfleet 58. It is absolutely gorgeous. I believe it was the original founder of Oyster that started this brand up after he left Oyster. This is a stunning monohull. They're asking 1.357, so 1.36. And it's I would have to take it. I would have to take it and pocket the the 700-800 grand because this is a world-class yacht. Oh my goodness. Now I don't know how to take this because I freaking love Outremer. I'm not sure if it's the new generation of pricing or whatever, but I've never seen such a clean and almost inarguable sweep of the pre-owned market. It's bizarre. Okay, the Dave score. How did she fare? Okay, down. There she is, 74. Yeah, about mid-pack. That's a bit of a surprise. So we're looking at, as far as the numbers go, we see the elegance factor on the interior at an 8. And the only reason that's not a 9 is that it dips off when you get into the accommodation halls, as I was saying. The saloon itself has the shapes and the overall design, the aesthetic to really buoy it up. If that's all I was looking at, this would be a 9. But once you get down into those hulls, it's still very nice, but the finishes are the only thing holding it up. And they're just not that, like they're not an American walnut or anything like that. They're pretty plain. So then elegance on the exterior, a solid 8. It's a really nice exterior. Comfort on the interior, definitely a solid 7. I mean, if you could do an athwartship with 3-side access, that would jump significantly. Comfort on the exterior is 7. There's no upper fly deck or fly bridge, fly lounge, and there's no forward cockpit. There's no dropping aft swim platforms. So it's a solid 7. It's a very nice, comfortable boat. Quality is a 9. I mean, do you know any other manufacturer that has had prominent YouTubers take their brand new from the factory low hull number boat onto the water with almost zero complaints? They're the only ones that have it. I would bet on balance, but they've managed to stay away from the YouTubers to a significant degree. Performance, an 8. It's not stellar, but it's very solid. Lazy Sailor, a 7. Condo, a 6. It's just, obviously it's smaller. And Geek, 7. Value for money, 7. I would have gone 8, but those prices are pretty extreme, as we saw. Our art of the region this week is Paul Signac's 1907, entering the port of Marseille. This piece pulses with the vibrancy of the Mediterranean, its sunlit water rendered in thousands of jewel-like dots. Though Paris-born, Signac made the shores between Cité and Saint-Tropez, just a few miles from today's La Grande-Motte, his adopted cruising ground, sailing aboard his beloved yacht Olympia to sketch coastal life directly in his canvas. The sleek steamship's prow cleaves rippling waves, embodying the era's embrace of modern technology and maritime commerce. Signac's pointillist palette, cerulean blues, emerald greens, and amber glints translates the harbor's cacophony into shimmering color harmonies, expressing both industrial progress and timeless seafaring romance. Beyond its dazzling surface, the work reflects Signac's belief that pure color could evoke emotion more powerfully than line or form. Even now, La Grande-Motte's marina resonates with his vision. Morning light fractures across masts and hulls, such as Signac's fractured pigment across canvas, inviting modern viewers to experience the sea anew. Well, that's our waves, wine, art, and ideas for one more week. I do hope you enjoyed it. I'm surprised at how the pre-owned comparables turned out. I wasn't prepared for that. but we have seen a substantial jump in the numbers as far as the cost of these boats goes, as we saw the comparables between the Balance 442 and the 464, etc. So, there's stuff happening, and of course, all of that isn't just a price increase. In many of these cases, the technology and the materials are changing rapidly as well, with a much higher emphasis on carbon reinforcement. So there is some reason for this, not to mention just general inflation. Well, come on back next week. I am continuing this sort of performance-oriented theme here with something quite tasty. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.